Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Kneon. I'm here with Geeky Sparkles.
Hello.
And I guess we're going to talk about Doctor Who again, since people are talking about it. And the reason they're talking about it is controversy. Controversy.
That's the only way you get people to talk about it.
That is the only way you get people to talk about Doctor Who. We've said before that when fans are apathetic, a franchise is dead. Look at Star Wars. Nobody cares what's going on with Star Wars. And for years, nobody cared what was going on with Doctor Who. But I think a lot of fans, myself included, had a lot of false hope that Russell T Davies was going to come back and kind of save the show. I don't think that's going to happen. In fact, it seems to be going out of his way to antagonize people, get people talking. I think in an attempt to get people to watch, but even that's not working out very well. We'll see what happens. But before we get into this video, and there are going to be some spoilers in this video for the latest special, by the way. So just be prepared. Be prepared. There's going to be another Doctor, imagine that. But anyway, before we get into it any further, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. You get woohoo if you do.
Woo-hoo.
So I think before we get into the next Doctor, we're going to talk about this. Geeky sent this over yesterday, the day before.
Yeah, so this is the casting director, but I guess apparently, okay, so in the middle episode, the Wild Blue Yonder one, everybody was talking about how Isaac Newton is now apparently like from a different area.
Geographically.
Yeah, a different race completely. But their argument was, well, it's a fantasy, so we can do whatever we want. And it's like, it's not the same Isaac Newton. It's like an alternate reality Isaac Newton or something like that. Okay, fine.
What?
Why was Rosa Parks not an Asian woman when, she was in the episodes, with Whittaker?
That is a good question. Why did Jodie Whittaker send Rosa Parks to the back of the bus?
Right, that bothers Quicking so much.
That's when he quit.
He quit. Rosa Parks go to the back of the bus.
He actually was watching the first couple episodes of Jodie Whittaker. He was coming back to Doctor Who, and he's like, "Wait a second. Of all the stuff the Doctor does, like they do talk about, fixed points in time or whatever. It's like the Doctor just sent Rosa Parks to the back of the bus. No." He's like, I am out. I'm done. I'm out. And I'm like, yeah, I don't blame you.
So when they were talking about, people were upset about the Isaac Newton thing. Again, they keep saying, well, it was different. It wasn't the same Isaac Newton. But they knew people were going to, assume that it was. They keep seeing this trend in Hollywood lately that they keep taking history and do revisionist stuff and making people that were white historically not white anymore. But it doesn't work in reverse because, you can't do that. But I guess it was all because of Davies that they did this.
Yeah, I really do believe Russell T Davies' motive coming back is by hook or by crook, we're going to get people to watch this show or at least talk about this show. And if they're angry, they're still tuning in because the ratings are in the gutter. They were in the gutter with Jodie Whittaker because nobody was talking about it. But the thing is, you're actually going to piss people off more. The only reason people are tuning in right now is because of David Tennant, and he's potentially gone.
Or you could have just made a good show. Yeah, it might not be in this article, but there was another one I read and it said basically the reason they went with him was because Davies wanted it that way. But of course, because it's not because you're questioning things like, why are you making Isaac Newton not white when it's a white dude? It's because you're villainizing minorities.
You're villainizing minorities.
This is the wonderful casting director for the show. And this is what he said. It's sad that we're in a time where people villainize minorities. This sort of chatter, I'm very good at kind of tuning it out. And I'm also very, very happy to block people on Twitter. I don't really have time for bigotry at all. You deliberately went and took a person, not even a character, a real life person, a historical figure, race swapped it for no reason other than race swapping, and then you're like, they're villainizing minorities. They're not villainizing minorities. If you're worried people villainizing minorities, then you need to stop this shit. Because what's going on is you guys keep shoving this agenda stuff in there and all this stuff, and things that, weren't there. If it was an original character or whatever, that's different. You keep taking characters that already exist. You keep taking things that are already established with fan bases for years. You keep taking actual historical figures and then, changing them for no damn good reason other than looking what we can do, agenda, ha ha ha. And then when people are like, what the hell? Then you call them bigots. And the more you do this, the more you create animosity. And that animosity might turn into bigotry later on. So if you're worried about villainizing minorities, you're the cause of it. People weren't. There was years and years and years and years and years where people didn't get all this mad about stuff. There was representation all the time. Nobody cared. Doctor Who, representation for years, as y'all want to point out. Nobody gave a shit. You're creating the issues yourselves and then yelling at everybody else, but you are solely to blame for the problem.
Yeah.
Anything to add?
No, not really. I mean, it's just tiresome. It's really tiresome that this is like Doctor Who is a little slow in the uptake because we've already seen how Disney has destroyed many franchises, how Star Trek almost got completely destroyed. It's definitely in a decimated state now compared to what it was. I think Picard was like the only bright spot, for a lot of people, but it's not what it once was. Because of this tactic. Now, this is a very 2017 take, and it's so weird because I'm looking at what the people associated with the show are saying, and I'm like, this is like from 5 or 6 years ago. In America, we already went through this, and now we're looking at Disney where they're at.
Yeah. And the thing is, you guys, they keep saying, well, it was always, Doctor Who's always been, progressive and diverse.
No.
Yes, and no one cared because it was a good show. But now you're prioritizing idiocy over a good show, making changes for no damn good reason other than, because you keep hiring a certain type of person, you want to represent yourself. And then when people are like questioning it, like, well, I don't understand why you did that, you immediately start yelling bigot when you see them. And this is what we, like I said, 2014 on, that's what's happened in the United States. You don't like it, it's because you hate women. You don't like it. Well, you changed everything about this show. She-Ra's no longer She-Ra. Well, you just hate gay people. No, it's called, you changed everything. You alienated the fan base you had for this new fan base you want who doesn't want you anyway. Like you said, they're going for Gen Z people, and they don't care. And the thing is, and then you're like telling everybody else that they're all bullies and bigots. And it's like, but you're creating the animosity. You can do a good show that still feels in line and still is diverse and still represents what you want it to represent. You're not. You're ham-fisting it, and then you're telling everybody else when they're like, I'm out, that they're terrible people for being out. I know there's a joke there, but still.
Let me pull that one up. Hold on. Yeah, I'll bring this. I'll bring the Gen Z article up here in a minute, but let's finish this one first.
It then becomes even more important to give people a voice, but you're only giving certain people a voice, and for people to be represented, especially for young people growing up who might be trans or from any minority. Again, you can do that, and Doctor Who's done it for years, and people still like the show. But what you're doing now is you're having, we're trans. If you were a woman still, you'd understand. You're going out of your way.
Yeah, they're going out of their way
to shoehorn every identity you can find onto the show. And what you're doing is you're making it more about agenda than you are about a good show, where they always used to be about a certain agenda to a point, but they still made a good show. If they can see themselves on screen, then that can be a huge lifeline for some people. That can make them feel part of the world, which indeed they are. So now no one else will be part of the world, and that's the problem. Some other people, other people that were represented on the show that no longer are might have used as a lifeline too. Social media is a bit of a dangerous place because I think people get sucked into saying things I don't know that they truly believe. It just becomes a game for them. Unfortunately, real life isn't a game, and I think it's important to stand up for people who are marginalized. Again, what you people tend to do often is when marginalized people speak up against you and say, hey, your show's shit, you marginalize them twice by stepping over them or immediately saying you're an internalized whatever, or you're a bigot, or, you marginalize them 2 times, but it's okay when you do it. Growing up as a gay man, here you go. So everybody associated with the show is like, LGBTQ or whatever. It's She-Ra all over again. Growing up as a gay man, I was aware as anybody else of how this stuff makes you feel when you see it, how the negativity can affect you. When were you being portrayed negatively? Because I know like the 80s and 90s, that wasn't the case. If you don't really think anyone should have to go, I don't really think anyone should have to go through that. So what your answer is instead is to shoehorn everything in, take established franchise, not just you, just a generalized Hollywood you and BBC you. You find established franchises with audiences that have been with the show for years, and a lot of them are diverse, like Star Trek and Doctor Who, and they're very progressive, even Star Wars. And you find these shows, and then you go into them, and instead of making a good show that happens to be more just progressive and be like it was, you take it and you shoehorn a bunch of shit into it, and then you just make it for agenda's sake. Tell everybody they're bigots if they question anything, even if it's something simple like, why does their outfit look like that?
Yeah, I know.
And then you wonder why no one watches your damn show. You basically tell your audience, we don't want you. This is representation for those who need it. And then when they don't watch your show, you yell at them and call them bigots for not watching your damn show, which makes them more angry, and it turns them against innocent people. And people don't be hating on people that are different than you because they're, LGBTQ or they're not the same race as you or whatever because of this stuff. Because it's not those people. It's these idiots, okay? It's causing people to be more bigoted and jaded. And we need to make sure that we understand that the normal people that you're running into on a daily basis aren't these people, okay? Some of them are assholes, but most of them aren't. Just remember that. Like, don't try not to get yourself jaded against people based on, identifiers because of this kind of stuff, because they're not the ones making these decisions. And unfortunately, some of them are the ones getting the fallout from these decisions and these people going around telling everybody they're bigots.
Yeah.
But you don't have to watch it either if you don't want to. Just don't.
Yeah, well, I think that's it. That's where I want to go with this next bit, and then we'll talk about that.
Sorry, I'll let you talk for a while.
That's okay. I'll talk about that because I'm
so tired of it.
I'm actually not as angry as you are about it. I'm just
mad about the bullying.
I'm numb to it.
I'm just tired of the bullying tactics, and it's hurting the people they claim they were protecting. I know for a fact it's hurting the marginalized groups they claim that they want to help.
Yeah, I mean, because what it does is it just like you basically are like, it's our way or the highway, and then people are like, well, no, and if that's the way you're going to be, then
anybody who's like you, who identifies the same way you do, must be bad too. Now, and that's not the case.
Now, here's the thing: Russell T Davies, he definitely gayed up Doctor Who at the beginning when he brought it back. There were, we had Captain Jack,
but I loved Captain Jack.
Captain Jack was a good, but I'm just saying, like, this isn't new, but Russell T Davies now has gone, I believe, all in on the message. He's not the same person he was. I mean, even when he's like, well, we can't have wheelchairs in Doctor Who because it might, or bad guys in wheelchairs because it might make people feel bad.
No, he's totally fine. He doesn't want to offend anyone unless you're white and male or straight.
Yeah, so we got to use...
we got to go out of our way to offend our core audience. Because our core audience was that, let's be honest. And they're going to go out of their way to offend everyone they could possibly offend. That falls into one of those categories.
I could be wrong, but I do think there are a lot of white dudes in England. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that is white dude ground zero. I think that's where they all come from, so you might want to not run down people. But anyway, so look, here's the thing. They want to flip the script. They want to chase another audience. This is a very Disney move. And again, Doctor Who, it's very appropriate that it's a time travel show because they're stepping right out of the TARDIS in 2017 and playing all the moves, doing all the moves that Disney did.
Because it works so well.
Because it works so well for all these other franchises. So now in 2023, when people are pretty much over all of this, now
bullying them doesn't work anymore.
And bullying them, like, all the same plays. Well, it must be you. The fans are wrong. You're the bigots, and we're just going to do it just to antagonize them. That's okay. We don't need you. We're going to chase a new audience. I'm like, they're chasing Gen Z, I think. Like, they want a TikTok doctor, and I don't think they're going to have it. I don't think they care.
No, because Gen Z doesn't give a shit.
They don't care. So this is from Mashable. I about fell on my chair. They're talking about the change, and we'll talk about the regeneration itself. And, of course, Russell T Davies and his attitude now. Get all the way to the end of this, right? This is written by a middle-aged white dude, by the way. Hey there, fellow kids. This is New Who, a very good Gen Z reboot. As older fans cope with exploded brains and potentially seething anger.
You mean the fans that have been with it for decades that kept it around?
I know. The Doctor merrily shapeshifts once more, changing what we thought we knew yet again. And the show proves it has the chops to last another 60 years. Highly doubtful.
Doubtful. Because Gen Z doesn't care about Doctor Who. I can tell you for a fact, my kids used to. They loved Doctor Who until they effing ruined it. And then by the time they got with Capaldi, they were out with Capaldi because the writing was terrible. And by the time they got to Whittaker, like I said, Squid King tried, and he was getting a little bit into it, and then he was out again as soon as it was so ridiculously in your face. They are Gen Z, and they don't give two shits about this.
Yeah, they say it always takes it. They talk about the TARDIS always taking you where you need to go. But this is interesting. So the Christmas Day special has not been released yet, but apparently there's a spoiler. The new Doctor sings a full song in a nightclub. Something we've never seen the character do before. Not something I wanted to see the character do. The song is going to be released as a Christmas single. Russell T Davies says the Doctor also dances in a nightclub. Yes, with a kilt or skirt or something. He's a maniac. a maniac on the floor. Anyway, so let's talk about that. This is where we get in the spoiler territory. So you've been warned. The Doctor regenerates. David Tennant was a bait and switch, kind of. So David Tennant lasted 3 specials. We've got, I think it's Ncuti Gatwa is the new Doctor. Now, I don't think he's terrible. From what we've seen, I think he seems like a...
I mean, they're not the one dancing and spinning in a circle in a nightclub. I mean,
right?
He seems pretty okay otherwise.
He seems okay. I like his coat.
But then, I've always thought people seemed okay until I watched a couple episodes and I was like,
I thought Jodie Whittaker was okay.
I thought she was going to be okay too. I mean, I didn't think at first, but then I saw some of the first episode. I'm like, okay, she's not too bad. She looks like she's trying to be Tennant-ish. I don't mind it. And then as I watch a little more, I'm like, nah, I'm out.
Tennant adjacent. So anyway, this time the Doctor regenerates with something they apparently just made up on the fly. I don't know. It might be hidden.
They didn't want to kill David Tennant off again.
They split him like a freaking amoeba. There's 2 Doctors now.
Somebody made a comment though, and it was beautiful. It was funny though. They said, oh, so it's okay now because now David Tennant's Doctor straight again because they have the other one split off, And I was like, that's funny.
They call it the bi generation, so the Doctor is bi, I guess now. So
no, bi generation means that there's 2 of them.
There's 2 of them, and he's like, oh, it's a myth, but hey, we just did. Now look, Russell T Davies has done some goofy stuff before. We had the Doctor age to like whatever age you're supposed to be, and you look like Yoda. I mean, there's been some weird, dumb shit, before, but this is, again, they're kind of tinkering with our understanding of how regeneration works. And, it's not as egregious, I don't think, as the Timeless Children, but now it raises a lot of questions. We've got 2 Doctors running around. Is this the new normal? Every time the Doctor regenerates, is he just going to split off like an amoeba? What does that mean? My first thought, having watched Classic Who, is like, does David Tennant eventually become the Watcher? Because when the 4th Doctor regenerated, Tom Baker, he was going to die, and then the Watcher showed up, who was like a future incarnation of the Doctor, but he was like all white and glowy and glittery or whatever, and then he merged back with the Doctor, and then he was able to regenerate again. So I'm kind of like, is that what they're kind of setting up? But who knows?
We don't know anything about Doctor Who. You don't like it. You're just here to complain.
I'm just a tourist. Yeah. So that's what. But I thought they were going to sub the Valyard too. The Valyard was an evil incarnation of the Doctor that was supposed to happen before the Jodie Whittaker, and they apparently never did that either. So who the hell knows? They don't even keep track. It's whatever showrunner comes in with whatever ideas they have. That's what they're going to do. But it is going to raise a lot of questions, and a lot of people are like, are they keeping David Tennant as a spare?
That's what I think they're doing, because they didn't want people don't want to see him die again. So, you're going to buy regenerate or buy generate or whatever the hell they're calling it, and then he'll be around too. But they already did this once before, because remember Rose got a
yes,
a
they have the Meta Crisis Doctor,
and then so how many David Tennant Doctors are running around, and so they have that going on. But I think there's somebody else said they think that what it did was a whole bunch of doctors everywhere, or all the doctors are back and got their TARDISes, and then so they can set up to bring other doctors in. I don't know. I mean, I'm not mad in the fact that I don't want David Tennant's Doctor to die again, but this one he could have died. Honestly, it was so full of shit. Didn't know anything. Didn't know how to use pronouns after how many years. Should die.
I know, right?
For stupidity alone. But it's just I don't hate the new guy, what I've seen so far, but I don't like it either. I don't know. I'm kind of like, I would give it a chance under normal circumstances. But the way that these people have made the comments they're making and the behavior and the audience they're going for, I guess it's not for me. So I'm not going to watch it, where I would have watched it until you guys all opened your mouth and basically said that I villainize minorities. I'm a bigot. So kindly fuck off. I'm not going to watch your show now, even though I would have. I have no problem with the Doctor not being white. Absolutely no problem whatsoever.
You can do stuff like this without making a big deal. And I think that's
they all have to get their digs in there because they're pissed, they're salty, and they're bitchy. They're little bitches.
They're little, yeah. So this has happened so many times. Like we've seen movies that were destroyed and TV shows that were destroyed because the people associated with the movies or the TV shows could not keep their mouths shut about their politics.
The shows, the movies were good.
Dungeons and Dragons: Honor Among Thieves was a big one because they're like, we're going to emasculate men. I'm like, I did not see that in the movie. And you made such a big deal about it that people didn't turn out to see the movie.
But the movie was actually pretty good.
The movie was pretty good. The Haunted Mansion was another one where they made a big deal about politics or whatever around it.
But then it wasn't political.
It wasn't political at all. And again, you preemptively tell people not to watch your show if you're going to tell them up front it's all political. What you do, and this is what, we just lost Norman Lear. Norman Lear, who was the showrunner behind All in the Family and Maude and so many shows that were very, very progressive 40 years ago. 40 years ago.
They just invented progressivity just a few years ago. And Doctor Who had it since like the 90s or 2000s or whatever.
Lear could get a message across and still be entertaining, and he wasn't on TV every week telling you you're a damn bigot. Basically, he was like, if you see yourself in Archie Bunker, maybe there's a problem.
Yeah. Or maybe you should think about what you're doing because this is how it might impact somebody.
But even then, like characters like Archie Bunker weren't one-note characters. Like, yeah, Archie Bunker was a bigot. That was his thing. But he also was a human being, and we got to see his humanity on multiple occasions, and we got to see him, change his attitude. Learn lessons, change his attitude, whatever. The bigots that we see on TV now are cartoon characters. They're one-dimensional. They're not human beings. They're just bad guys that need to be vanquished because they're bigots. You can't sympathize at all with the other side. And that was one thing that Norman Lear was very good at, was getting you to sympathize with the other side. And a lot of these showrunners today, they're just like...
Ask questions, change your thinking.
Yeah.
Not today.
Yeah. Yeah. And that was the same with Star Trek. People were like, Star Trek's always been progressive. I'm like, yeah. I watched Next Gen every week religiously when I was a kid. And I watched Deep Space Nine and all those shows. They weren't ham-fisted. They would sometimes actually ask you to look at the bad guys, their perspective, because maybe... like the Klingons, they kind of humanized the Klingons over the course of time. And the Klingons were just kind of one-note bad guys that were, out to get the Federation. And over time, you started to realize more about their culture, why they believe what they believe, why they think they're right. And they would do this. They would actually kind of humanize the villains eventually. And you realize that they weren't villains. They just had like a different ideology from you. But that's not what we see today. Now it's just bad guys, bad, smash.
No, now what we see today is you're not lining up to watch our show. I love it. Don't watch it. It's not for you. It's for Gen Z. Then when you don't watch it, you're a bigot. You're a horrible bigot who's villainizing minorities. And I'm like, just fuck off.
Well, we'll
I'm
see.
Sorry.
Well, I think the audiences are fucking off. This post is, and I hope I'm pronouncing this correctly. I've seen him on Twitter for years, but I've never actually. I think it's Autumn Mirabilis, who is a huge Doctor Who fan, posting the ratings, and they are declining. Now,
not in the numbers I would expect, but then wait till David Tennant's gone.
I think that's it. I think once David Tennant leaves,
they aren't good numbers.
They're not good numbers. These are still Jodie Whittaker era numbers and end stage Peter Capaldi numbers. Once David Tennant leaves, if he's going to leave, because now we got him floating around out there, two of him floating around out there. Once he leaves and it's all shooty got, well, we'll see where we're at with it. We'll see if Gen Z picks up the slack and turns him into the TikTok doctor. I don't think is that why they're doing the musical number?
I don't know why TikTokers like musical numbers.
Because TikTokers like music. Yeah.
They like music. Yeah.
Is that why they're doing that?
I don't know. Look, he's at a rave at a club, and you all like to go to raves and clubs, right? He's one of yins.
He's wearing a skirt because he's metrosexual, just
That's
like
right.
all
no,
of you,
they don't
right?
call it that now. They just call it non-binary, gender neutral.
Sure. Okay. Sure. Whatever. And I see R.I.P. Doctor Who is trending. All
but
right.
that's because they're all bigots.
That's because this is just all
They never
bigots.
watched an episode, even though they're the ones that kept the show around for years. But whatever.
Yeah. So I'm gonna tell you what. Look. It's not for me. And if you guys like it and you enjoy it, that's fantastic.
Yeah, we always say you can like what you want. You don't have to like it if you don't like it.
There are people that love Disney Star Wars. It's fine. I'm telling you why I don't like it. If you like it, that's fine.
The problem is, though, here's what started this whole thing. We have to wrap this up soon. We have to go somewhere. The problem is it was always like, if you're allowed to like it, you're allowed not to like it. But it became, you are only allowed to like it. You are not allowed to dislike it, or you are a terrible person. And they're starting with that again because they know they'll lose their numbers, they'll lose their show. You have to support it so it's representative. But if you don't like it, you're a bad person. But you are allowed to like it. You are allowed to not like it. Yeah, basically.
The doctor gave birth out of his penis. I thought it was kind of weirdly sexual how the other doctor crawled out of...
I just thought they were splitting off. I'm not going to assign stuff to it that I don't think is necessarily there, but he was in his underpants, which I thought was odd.
It was a little weird. I don't know, guys. Whatever. You're allowed to like it. I've no doubt. I basically, for me, Doctor Who died the minute that Peter Capaldi regenerated. And it died before that for a lot of people. I just really like Peter Capaldi. don't think he had a lot to work with.
Well, the writing was terrible.
The writing was terrible,
But anyway, so if you want to watch it, be my guest. You're allowed to watch it, but understand, people are allowed to not like it. And just because they don't like it doesn't mean they're anti-whatever. Doesn't mean they villainize minorities. If they don't like the changes to it, when the show has been, it's very far removed from what it used to be. People are allowed to like it, and people are allowed to not like it. And if you don't like it, you don't have to like it just because these people say so.
There you go, guys. So we're going to wrap it up.
Yes.
Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants. We'll talk later.
Bye.